fortunate in finding work at the end of the variety circuit era, when nightly performances could hone an act to perfection. This unique footage of him shadowboxing is the only film record of his act at that time. The character that was associated with you for many years was the Gump. Where did that character come together, really, and how did it really come together?
I was sharing a dressing room with a conjurer. He was having difficulty finding the material for his last show. So he said, hey, I'll tell you what, I've got an idea. I said, what's this? He said, well, if when I invite someone up from the audience to help me do a few tricks, if it's you come up from the audience and help me. He said, that'll settle my act. I said, yeah, fine, good idea.
Now then, do you know what I'm going to do with your watch?
No, sir.
I'm going to place it on the table, so. And I'm going to break it up into lots and lots of little pieces.
So I went into town, I bought a suit for 30 shillings and a cap for 1 shilling. And it was so successful that we were booked at the London Casino.
No.
Oh, get out of it. Go on, get out of it. You know very well it's all smashed up and broken. I saw you and everybody saw you. Put it on the table and you hit it as hard as you could.
Well, that's just where you're wrong.
Neither of us wanted to be a double act. And he went his way and I went mine. We remained very dear friends for the rest of his life.
Now then, whose watch is this, eh? Whose is it?
Norman's, yes.
And it was dear David Nixon. Cool. That is the original hat. The first one I bought, you know, for 1 shilling, when I told you about it at Scarborough. This is the, that's the suit. It's not the first time it's fallen over, don't worry. And, look, I've taken the coat hanger off, or the trousers hanger. Look, that's the original. Cool. Look at that, look. I wore that for years. That's the one I bought for 30 shillings. And I'm very proud and I look after it and keep it. And I've had 34 of these suits made since 1948. 34. Well, the clothes go with the character. He's a Burke, isn't he? Who's kindly, likes people, is frightened, makes mistakes, can sometimes be successful, but rarely all the way. And that's how the character was. The Gump, which is an old-fashioned word for lunatic. Burke, if you like. I used to go to the theatre where I was working at 9 o'clock in the morning and just rehearse for all day nearly, sometimes. Certainly no less than 4 or 5 hours. People used to think I was potty, but probably right anyway, but I was learning my job that way.
Using his tremendous athleticism, Wisdom developed an unequalled mastery of stage skills such as the falls and walks, which were an essential part of variety theatre.
When a fruit of barrows, I am very, very blunt.
Got a bit of a limp, haven't you?
There's one thing that I have kept almost secret, but I'll tell you that normally, comedians in particular, you come on stage to entertain an audience, don't you? And as my work started to improve, and then I felt that the audience were applauding and they were laughing happily, I used to feel they're not an audience, they're my friends. And then I decided that I was coming on stage to have fun with a crowd of my chums. And that's what I did. And it works, it really does. Because I come on stage and just so you get the idea, just to, well, I won't be a minute, I'll be off and then back before you know what's happened. See, they applaud, and you look as if you're frightened. You didn't expect that. didn't expect applause like that, but they're lovely. And you say hello. You point. What I do, point to the people. I like you, you're saying. And you know they like you. And you love them. And maybe they love you too. It's exciting. You tell them that you love them, you love them, you love them. And then you got them. Then you start to work.
During the 7 years after the war, Wisdom rose to become the biggest name on the variety circuit, topping the bill at the London Casino and breaking all records at the Palladium. In 1952, when he was already 38, he starred in his first film, and from then on, he continued his stage and screen careers in parallel.
Now, as well as attending this premiere, you've got to give a performance in Where's Charlie tonight. How are you going to fit all this in?
I rush from the foyer out into the street and start running, and as I leave the foyer, somebody will phone to the Palace Theatre and the overture will start to play, and I just hope and pray that as I run, everything will be all right and I can be there in time to make my entrance.
Although there's little filmed record of Wisdom's stage act during his early career, a good idea of it can be gained from his double act with Bruce Forsyth in the 1961 London Palladium.